And hello again. In today's video I wanted to show you a part of the garden which is dry shade or semi-shade or mostly shade. Gets a little bit of sun, but oftentimes in a dry situation, because we've got this great big, it's either a Deodar cedar or an Atlas cedar, I'll have to confirm which it is, huge tree, you know, whatever, 100 feet high or more, whatever. Its roots and then Doug firs galore. These giant trees suck all the juice, which is called, also known as water, out of the ground. And so smaller plants are at their mercy. And so this whole area here, you know, suffers from that. And I just want to show you a few plants that I've put in here that work, and hope maybe they'll work for you too. So again, you've got the tree that's causing not only shade, it's also acidifying the soil with its needles, and it is causing some desiccation with its roots. So let's start right here. All right, so this is good old Lychnis carinaria or rose campion. It's very common. It's a beautiful little plant. It comes in different shades of pink. This one is a hot pink. Sometimes you get it in white. Sometimes you get it slightly striped. It seeds itself very nicely. There's little baby plants down there. There's little baby plants in the grass, etc., etc. So once this blooms, you want to cut it back. But for now, it's probably getting towards 2.5, 3 feet high, and just focus on a really nice show. You know, and again, the pink with the silver, that's a really pleasant contrast. Here, by the way, is a pampas grass. It's been cut back for a little while now. It also is, you know, it's from the pampas in Argentina. So any kind of grass will do well in a more of a drier situation, or rather most will. But this is the pampas grass. And then back there, that little patch right there, that is the native bleeding heart. And they're good in also in even a deeper shade, but that's for another video. And we've got a black cohosh right there, starting to make its little flower. And then here, you've got the hot lips salvia. And the video may not be picking up just how nice and big and vigorous this plant was. We had a bad freeze this winter, and it's just come back like gangbusters. It just loves it. You know, you can't stop it. There's a few other little salvias in here that I planted with just other varieties, and they survive as well. But the hot lips really just goes crazy. It just loves it. Just spreads and spreads and spreads. So if you can get one of these at the nursery, even, you know, maybe like in the orphanage at the nursery, the discount rack, get one there. It will reward you nicely for half price. So this area here, by the way, seems to have some kind of power wire or something running through it. Every shrub I have put in here has died, but these smaller plants don't. So if anyone knows what that might be causing that. Anyway, so no shrubs. There was, I think, a butterfly bush when we moved in, but nice, you know, flowers do work here. Now here, nice, beautiful patch of oxalis or deer clover. This also works in a much deeper shade. And then you'll see decorative rocks. You'll see the funky little mushroom there, metal sculpture there. So here, this area is going to get some sun, as you see. This is afternoon sun. So there's a sword fern that works very nicely right there. Now I'm going to move just across over here to this bed and just show you some plants that work in again, sort of a shade, a drier shade setting. This thing is a native hazel. I got it as a sort of like this little tiny 2 foot high nothing at the nursery several years ago, and it's turned into this gorgeous, it's probably 8 feet high by now, and it's just great. You know, it's just a little trooper, a little native trooper, just does its job, the end. So it fills in very nicely. And then here, little choicea, planted I think last year, so it's still growing, but it's doing well. I don't have to give it very much water, if any. So it's doing well in so it's a dry shade setting. It's going to get some afternoon sun, and as you can see up from the ground, say behind there is some sun, and then it's going to get some afternoon sun, which is behind me right now. But again, notice it does have spacing around it, so that gives a chance for some light to reach it. And then here is just a nice little wonder child, at least that's what I call it. So this is just the plain old Oregon snowberry, Symphoracarpus albus. I would almost argue that this should be the state flower, despite its rather kind of homely appearance, because on my travels around the state, unless you're very high altitude or right by the ocean, as long as there's water, this is growing. You're going to find this somewhere growing. As long as it gets a little bit of sun, this is just growing everywhere. It makes these little tiny, tiny pink flowers. I don't know whether it's going to show up in the bright sun like that. Anyway, little tiny pink flowers, which then make, there we go, which makes then the snowberry. The snowberries are, again, edible but not palatable, so you can eat them. So you can chew them and swallow them. That's basically it. So this thing, again, is getting towards 7 feet high. It was in the back in a almost completely shady spot and was just very sad. I moved it here a couple of years ago and it's exploded. It's just if plants had wings, this spread its wings, and it's really happy right here. And it's just, again, it's a native plant. The native insects like it. The native birds like it. It's just doing its job. Now, right next to it is another shrub, not a native. So this tall one right here. This is a Viburnum opulus, or the kalinka, the national shrub or flower of Ukraine. Kalinka, kalinka, kalinka maya, saduya gda kalinka, kalinka maya. And this one makes a big white flower. It's already made the flowers. Use a little right there, and some right there. And it's going to make a few berries. In probably a night more sunny setting, it would probably make great big parasols, and probably even next year it will do that. It just really shot up this year. Here is, you can see it. This is one of those greater celandines. I did the video on that with the little yellow flowers. One ended up here. Who knows? Maybe I planted it. And it's just going to seed itself all over the place, so it needs to come out. It's not if they aren't all over the place in the yard. Here again, you've got the oxalis. Let's see, you got a few raspberries back there. There's a little bit of a native bleeding heart. And again, deep in there, you got oxalis. This one is one of those little shrubby lonoceras. This is where the ocean spray used to be, and I replaced it with that, much more, shall I say, domesticated. Got some sweet woodruff here, so again, kind of more of a dry shade, and a little bit of what's called youth, a little saxifrage relative. I don't want to mislead you by giving you the wrong name. It's a little native saxifrage, and it just loves it there as well, and it spreads all over the place. I can always just take up pieces of it and replant it. So again, this area of Shonia is dry and kind of shady. So, it's not, and again, it's because of the giant trees here. So not an impossible area to work with. You just have to make sure that the ground is nice and tilled, nice and worked. Make sure it's got some good mulch. You give it a good, feeding, maybe a couple times a year. And again, just plant plants such as these, which will do well in this setting. All right, that's all for today.